This is Afro X, and you're watching.
It's Afro X, and this you're watching YouTube.
This is Afro X, and you're watching YouTube.
This is Afro X, you're watching YouTube.
This is Afro X, and you're watching YouTube.
Here comes the good part.
My name is Afro X, no I just want the checks. My name is Afro X, no I don't need a hex. You should forget your ex and just watch Afro X. My name is Afro X, my name is Afro X, my name is Afro X. Hey everybody, Afro X here. And welcome to Anime Origins, the show where we discover how anime is influenced by Japanese culture. Today we'll be talking about Naruto, but more we'll be focusing on the Uchiha clan. I just like to say here that I think the Uchiha clan is one of the most influenced by Japanese culture groups of people in the entire show. Okay, well let's get down to it. The Uchiha clan. Alright folks, now the Uchiha clan has exhibited powers of a certain different nature than the rest of the characters in the series. Namely, their ability to create ethereal suits of armor in a variety of different shapes. This is referred to as Susano'O. Itachi Susano'O mainly manifests as first a large skeleton and then what seems to be a warrior demon with a large sword called the Totsuka Blade, or Sakigari-no-Tachi, literally meaning sake cutter longsword. This makes sense because the sword itself is heavenly sake stored in a gourd on Susano'O's back and is released in shape to attack. And when you are pierced by it, you are sealed inside a world of drunken dreams for all eternity. The only being who has ever been able to escape that world is the immortal Orochimaru, who, being a snake, can reform himself from any existing cells of his anywhere. That, my friends, is a story for another day. But we will continue to speak on Susano'O. The name Susano'O comes from an old Japanese folk legend. Susano'O is the god of the sea and storms in Japanese mythology and plays a very important role in the next topics we're going to touch on in this series. Susano'o was born from the two Shinto gods, Izanagi and Izanami, who presided over the earth when it was still formless and shapeless. Izanagi and Izanami were a spouse and sibling pair, and they gave birth to many of the islands of Japan and begat numerous deities of Shintoism. But Izanami died after giving birth to the fire god Kagutsuchi, and Izanagi executed the fire god with the Ten-Grasped Sword, or the Totsuka-no-Tsurugi, or the Totsuka Blade. Afterwards, he paid his wife a visit in Yomi no Kuni, or the underworld, in the hopes of retrieving her, but she had partaken of food cooked in the furnace of the underworld, rendering her return impossible. Izanagi betrayed his promise not to look at her and lit up a fire only to behold her in her monstrous and hellish state. To avenge her shame, she dispatched the lightning god Yakuza no Ikazuchi no Kami, or Raijin, and the horrible hag Yomotsu Shikome to chase after him. Izanagi escaped, but the goddess declared to kill 1,000 of his people every day. Izanagi retorted that 1,500 will be born every day. To be cleansed of the battle, Izanagi washed his face, and from his left eye the sun goddess Amaterasu was born. From his right, Tsukiyomi, the god of the moon, and from washing his nose came Susano'O, the god of the seas and storms. Susano'O possessed the sword Totsuka-no-Tsurugi. This sword was used to tear the body of his father's brother, Kagutsuchi, also known as Sasuke's Inferno-style flame control. Totsuka-no-Tsurugi means sword of length 10 times its handle, and as we can see, the Totsuka Blade that Itachi himself wields is quite large. Anime, as I'm sure you've seen before, tends to take a very liberal interpretation, and while the name Sakigari-no-Tachi fits well because it has sake in it and Tachi, which sounds like Itachi, we will be focusing today on the actual name of the mythological sword, Totsuka-no-Tsurugi. But don't give up that easy, dear viewers, because we can go even deeper than that. Susano'O's story is a very short yet very complicated tale. Starts out like this. Susano'O and his sister Amaterasu did not get along very well, and one day they decided to have a competition. They traded possessions, and from them birthed new gods and goddesses. From Susanoo's sword came 3 women, and from Amaterasu's beads came 5 men. Susanoo figured that the 3 women belonged to him, and the 5 men to Amaterasu, since their respective possessions had birthed them. Yet claimed himself as the winner because his item had created women. The brother and sister were content for a while, but soon Susanoo became relentless and did horrible things to Amaterasu. He destroyed her rice fields, hurled a flayed pony at her loom, and killed one of her attendants. Obviously distressed, Amaterasu went and hid in the Awa no Iwato, the heavenly rock cave. She eventually did come out by means of a ceremony and unique dancing, but Susanoo was banished from heaven by his father Izanagi. Descending from heaven, Susanoo heard a noise like someone crying. Peering through the bushes, he found a young girl, and an old man and an old woman crying. Naturally asking what was wrong, the old man explained that he was an earth deity, and that for the past 8 years a terrible 8-headed serpent called Yamata-no-Orochi, sound familiar, had come to devour their 8 daughters, of which 7 had already been eaten. This year it was the turn of the 8th daughter to be devoured. Her name was Kushinada-hime, the Princess Kushina. Sound even more familiar? They asked Susanoo to defeat Yamata-no-Orochi, 8-branched giant snake. Sound so familiar? Susanoo asked if he could have their daughter as his bride if he defeated the beast. They willingly obliged. Susanoo then transformed Kushinada-hime into a many-toothed close comb. Okay, for you really big Naruto files, sound familiar? Which he then stuck in his hair. Susanoo came up with a plan to put 8 buckets of sake in the town, and Yamata-no-Orochi came and drank and got drunk and sleepy. And using Totsuka-no-Tsurugi, Susanoo chopped the 8-headed serpent into pieces, but his blade got nicked by the end. So he split open one of the tails. This thing had 8 tails too, sound familiar? To find the Amano Murakumo no Tsurugi, the sword of the gathering clouds of heaven, or Kusanagi-no-Tsurugi, sound familiar? Or the grass cutter sword. He presented the Kusanagi-no-Tsurugi to Amaterasu as a reconciliation gift. According to legend, she gave these to her descendant Ninigi, who collected them along with the Yata no Kagami mirror and the Yasakani no Magatama. Sound uber familiar? Jewel or bead. These 3 items now make up the 3 imperial regalia of Japan. So, let's go over this and draw some parallels. Susanoo used sake and Totsuka-no-Tsurugi to defeat Yamata-no-Orochi, just as Susanoo pierced a reborn Orochimaru coming out of a many-headed snake beast summoned by Sasuke, with a sword made of sake, sending him to an eternal world of drunken dreams. Susanoo had the Princess Kushina in his hair as a comb, just as in Naruto, Kushina, Naruto's mother, owns a comb that she gives to her friend. Her friend loses it, and Naruto finds it and returns it only to have it given to him because the comb belonged to his mother originally. Just as Amaterasu passed down items to her descendants, the deities on the earth, who eventually gave Kushina to Susanoo, whom he turned into a comb. The Kusanagi-no-Tsurugi inside Yamata-no-Orochi is the same as the sword of Kusanagi that Sasuke wields after his time with Orochimaru. Well, that's all I have for today. Like, comment, and subscribe, or check me out on my Facebook page, AfroX. And keep YouTubing, YouTubers. Don't fight the fro, and always remember to stay legendary. And I hope you like this. I want to keep doing more of anime origins.
This is AfroX and you're watching YouTube.
So you're watching YouTube.
Yeah.
Jesus.
You YouTube? I got you.
And you're watching his YouTube.